Welcome to the Rehumanization Station. I'm your collaborator, Christopher Jones, aka Dr. X, and this podcast is an extension to my Flippin' and Vibin brand where vibers seek to transform narratives in society, education, and today, sport and entrepreneurial sector. Today is our Isball Life Series 2, where we have our Team Durham alumni viber named Ennis with us today. Ennis, how you doing?
I'm doing unstoppable.
Man, I love to hear that. Love to hear that. And Ennis is also our dub viber, so we talk about dubs. If I know we're international, so dub is like winner, always winning, you know. And I know Ennis from coaching him last year on the 2024-2025 season, right? As just I was an assistant coach, you know, got to know Ennis a bit, and yeah, freakish athlete, and was dunking on everybody, right? How tall are you?
6'1", 6'2". I tell everybody
6'2"?
6'2". Yeah.
Oh, 6'2". Okay, you're actually generous because usually, you know, NBA, I would say NBA you'd be 6'3" at least, 6'4" on the NBA roster sheet. But yeah, Ennis was an amazing player, worked really hard, and I know typically I talk about people in their profile, but I'm allow Ennis to kind of introduce himself and talk about where he's from and yeah, what you're doing right now.
Yeah, definitely. First, I want to just say, you know, it's a truly honor to be on your podcast today. Being able to just watch what you have done with the people that you bring in, to be actually one of the people that are here to be able to speak about just my journey. I really admire what you're doing, and I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no worries. Much love. Thank you.
For sure. But for me, you know, Ennis Thomas grew up in Westerville, Ohio. Was able to do a lot of great things when it comes to the basketball side, from high school being a state champion to going into college as a full scholarship athlete at Lake Erie, playing Division II basketball. And, you know, it propelled me to do a lot of amazing things after basketball able to work in the banking sector right out of college, and moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I was there for about 4.5 years. And being in Charlotte, and you kind of adjusted, you know, my lifestyle, being away from my, you know, my family and my friends, and my grind changed, and I found my love of basketball again down in Charlotte. You know, big basketball hub. You know, Michael Jordan being you know, a big part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry being from there, Davidson, and it's hoop everywhere. So doing my 9 to 5, then getting off work and starting to work out and just get my body right, kind of changed my perspective of like I can still, you know, be a very productive player and be able to still, you know, play the game that I love. And luckily enough, the opportunity to go overseas at Durham came about when I started looking at different master's programs and how I wanted to do it. And being able to step into that and go to Durham, I think it was one of the biggest life-changing moments of my life.
Right. And and you studied, what did you study at Durham? Just to be
Management, concentration, entrepreneurship.
management entrepreneurship. Right. And how was that experience? Because I know how was it compared to like your undergraduate degree in America?
It's night and day. I definitely think being able to go and get your undergrad, you do a lot of prerequisite classes. Then you go into some of them, you know, your major classes, which mine was marketing. So it was more or less like a holistic overview of marketing. I didn't really get the nuances of digital marketing or the nuances of, you know, foot traffic marketing. But going into Durham, being able to think of the theory of being a business owner, being a business and, you know, entity in this world, it really changed my perspective and outlook on how I want to attack business, or how do I want to even show my brand through myself. So being able to be a part of Durham's curriculum was enlightening in so many other ways, that, you know, from the theory to the practice. I mean, I even went, you know, we did a couple projects where I was trying to get funding for our team basketball, working with
Right.
some of the local, you know, food businesses. But, you know, I enjoy being a part of that and being able to try to leverage a lot of my business acumen.
Yeah, grind. I remember you were messaging me asking me where to get a haircut, who to talk to in terms of training. Like you was on it, right? You was
Yeah.
on it, which was cool. And Let me backtrack again because I know you mentioned about coming to Durham, but what, like, if you want to give us a bit more detail in terms of like how that happened, right? Because Durham is a, how did you find out about it, like specifically, and like how did you feel at the time,
hmm
um, when you're on your way about to come here? How did you feel and stuff like that? So,
Yeah, I think that's a really important. I really appreciate that question because, I've been able to do so many amazing things from, graduating my undergrad to getting a job at a Fortune 500 company, and I'm doing all these great things. But mentally and like emotionally, I just felt like I was not fulfilling myself in general. Like I was doing a lot of things that I felt the outside world would look at me as, upper echelon person, other than what actually made me feel like I'm fulfilling, my purpose on earth. I
mhm.
think, with my faith, I really felt like God was telling me, you need to uproot yourself from what you're doing right now. And, looking at, schools, I looked at, opportunities. A lot of people in corporate, go part time, and I knew I wanted to do something that was different from a lot of the idealistic journeys of corporate America, or a lot of what a lot of people just think in general. I wanted to just look outside the box. So I was blessed to get in touch with like Play Overseas that looked at a lot of different schools within England, and Durham and Cardiff met, was two of the biggest schools that had a great interest in, bringing me on. And, doing my research, I wanted a school with a lot of culture. I wanted to go to a school that did not just, uh, emphasize just one thing about yourself. I feel like Durham does a great job of allowing people to have different, phases of life. Like we got our basketball club, then you have your college that you're a part of, and then you can just be
Right.
in a part of different, avenues. And I felt that was something that out for me, just being somebody that was, multifaceted, adaptive in other environments, that I wanted to be a part of, to be able to say, oh yeah, I'm a part of this group, but you might catch me with another group, and not feel like who are you, what are you doing, and then being in a space of people that's also doing it. It was just like, this is the best thing on earth. So
Right.
so it was great.
Right. And yeah, I realized that about you right away. Like I recognize that you didn't belong to just one group, right? You was everywhere, right? And that's a good way to I would say navigate the experience here if you're able to, if you're open enough to do that, right? And that is one thing that was I definitely saw like right away, right? Because like I said, I mentioned before you even came here, you was asking me certain things, right? So yeah, it's yeah, Durham is, yeah, it has its different ways of, there's different types of people here, and it's just about trying to find those people, and that'll give you different opportunity in terms of learning, in terms of understanding the different types of cultures that are here, right? Even if you can't see it in plain sight, right? And in terms of while you were here at Durham, what exactly, like what brought you peace and joy, and what brings you peace and joy in general, just as a person?
Yeah, I think that was the biggest battle for me, trying to find my peace within myself. And being in Durham, I think my dad brings it up. He said when he came out and visited me, he said, "Man, you had braids. You just look different when you're in that space." Because I was literally searching to, find that, comfort zone, and waking up every day, being able to just walk and have my thoughts. I think walking in
Mm,
Durham is one of the biggest things that people, take up for, for granted, is the fact that
mm,
I was able to just have my own self care every day, of like having to walk 15 minutes, whether it's trying to just plan out the rest of my day, get my mindset ready for our practices. And now taking all of that, what I learned from just being able to have that self care for myself, and being able to just be happy and have peace within, and then be able to express that with to others, has definitely allowed me to continue to keep myself, sane in the, the new space that I'm in now. Um,
mhm.
and now, looking forward to doing bigger and better things. And I'm excited about it. Like working corporate and being at, my undergrad, I just felt like I was waking up hoping for the, the shoe to drop on the other foot, or something's negative
Right.
going to happen. And I don't think anybody should feel that, to be able to wake up and be, nervous or anxious about how the day may plan out. And I
Mhm.
just, I know people are out there feeling that way. And I know that's something that I want to express, that it's okay to have your own peace and not be you making
Mhm.
150,000 a year, but to be actually to wake up and be motivated to help,
Mhm.
the world in your way, and help yourself or your family. You can do that and still have your own peace.
Ooh, man, I wanna ask more about that, but we'll ask more. I'll talk to you more about that in the
Yeah.
second part. But that's that. Thank you for that answer. Yeah, it is very important in terms of like trying to find your peace and love. So in terms of like everything that you've done, right? I know you said you're a winner. I mean, you've won a state title, uh, played at Division II, high level, full scholarship. There that with that comes can come pressure, can come resiliency, etc. Right?
Mhm.
Um, during your journey, could you like think of anybody who's been influential to you in different stages of your life?
Definitely. Oh man, I feel I'm a big village person, so
Mm,
I come from a large family. I have five siblings, four sisters, one brother. That have I have like 15, 16 nieces and nephews. Um,
ooh,
I just come from a big family, so a lot. I can't credit one person. I would just say my family in general have
mm-hmm,
just been so supportive, and the fact that I'm definitely changing the grain. Before me going overseas, like starting to travel, I think with myself doing what I was doing, it changed my family's trajectory of what's possible. Now they're excited about going to Punta Cana, or like granted, I
right,
want to go
right,
to more places that's more educational, and more
yeah,
has, but to have them thinking about exploration has been really great. But I would definitely just say like my family, the male figures in my life have definitely been a very important, from my fathers to my uncle, just being in my life, and just showing, sometimes being a father figure or a mentor is just showing better than just telling. So I really do appreciate the family that I have.
mm, thank you. Probably, I mean, you're beating me, or you're beating us. There's five of us, so there's six of y'all, right? Okay, man. How was that growing up? Like, were they competitive as well? Did they play any sport as well, or did they play basketball, or some of them?
I come from a very eccentric family. On my
Mm,
Definitely on my dad's side, we're heavily music oriented. My dad was an
mm,
organist. My brother is a professional drummer. My brother-in-law is a pianist slash director,
mm,
and that's kind of how
yeah,
I was like growing up. Mom's
mm,
side, definitely athletic, but I definitely was the one that took the athletics and turned it up another level for my family, because we were, definitely deeply rooted in the church, churchgoers,
mm,
and I was just so ingrained into the idea of being able to, go to college on a full scholarship, and that when that motivation came, I had to say, all right, let me put the drumsticks down and let me lock it
mm.
on this ball.
So you can play the drums.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
was in a trumpet quartet in college, so like it's not
Okay.
something that I just like did on the side. Like I definitely took lessons, did classes, was
Oh.
in jazz band in high school, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. When you were talking, it made me think of a question. So, I know you talk because you're really athletic, and I remember we had a conversation one day, and I was asking you, where'd you get your hops from, right? And do you remember the story you told me?
Uh, was it me trying to touch my head on the ceiling?
Yeah, like you said, you would be watching Dragon Ball Z and at certain points you'd be. Ain't that
I
that's what you
told you
said,
too
right?
much. I did. I did. It was literally my freshman going into my sophomore year at high school. I would all summer, like we had morning workouts, and sometimes you're in high school, you're pretty much staying up all night, and then we had workouts at 6:30. So, between episodes, I try to touch my head on the ceiling at least 10 to 15 times, just kept trying.
Right.
And I mean, now it's real effortless, but I definitely put a lot of work into being able to dunk the basketball.
That is a natural way of getting some pop. I mean, yes. I mean, what that shows is people do talk about that more now in terms of just jumping is just
Yeah,
a
you
great way
gotta
of doing
practice
that,
it.
right?
Yeah, you gotta
For
practice it.
sure. And you can practice anywhere, even when you're watching DBZ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you watch Dragon Ball Z.
All
Next
right.
time
So
on Dragon Ball Z, I'm in there just jumping. I'm in there jumping.
facts. So now, okay. So and then now, I know we talked about now who's influential to you, but and how I guess how you've been inspired, some of the great moments in your life, right? But what are some of the most challenging moments for you, and how have you navigated them?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke a little bit about it. Like, my time as a full-time athlete, I think a lot of people may experience that. Like, I think that's why the transfer portal is what it is. It's definitely a grind going into college as an undergrad, and coming from a large community from my high school, it was definitely a transition going to a small school. I mean, my college was only about 900 students, so it's really tight knit.
No.
And I struggle with my love for the game. I struggle with identity. Like, okay, I was at the top of the mountain, and then now I feel like I'm at the lowest point in less than a year. And I struggled. Definitely turned to worldly things during college, and I never really I felt like I really understood what I was going through even when I got into the corporate space, because I was trying to run from a situation to another situation where I never really understood who I was, but I knew it was the right thing to do to, go from, you know, doing well in college to going to a job and doing well. And I just felt real depressed about, just who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's so funny. Somebody was talking a little junk about me. They was like, one day you just gonna wake up and be like, you're gonna go here, and I was like, or you're gonna go do this, or now you're gonna pick up, violining or something. And it was not more or less me trying to just do anything. I was really just trying to search for a peace of mind, search for, a
Mm-hmm.
direction that I can just now pour myself into. And, I definitely felt like I was definitely seeing peace. Most people see things in me that I can do, but to be able to actually understand who I am or what I want to do was a thing that I just struggled with, and it definitely was a battle within myself that a lot of people probably wouldn't even notice from the day to day.
And I know we've talked before about you're a man of faith. So how much did your faith um, play a role in you navigating everything?
A major
Mm-hmm.
role. I think the more I dive deeper into my faith, the more clarity I was able to gain
Mm-hmm.
with just being able to just pray sometimes and just meditate and just let go and let God will allow me to just decompress some of those those fears, those anxious moments, those what's next, or how can I get to that next step tomorrow, and be able to just stay in the moment of today. I think God has been very influential in that part. And, I think just being able to leave God, I feel like God was like, brother, if you don't go, you feel me? If you don't go, you feel that. You feel me talking to you right now. Cause I'll never forget,
Yeah.
Chris, I was in my room in Charlotte, and I'm like doing my own research on Durham. I think they had a meet and greet in Montreal in 2 weeks, and I'm like, I have to go. And I literally couldn't sleep at night, like just thinking about the experience of what it could be, and
Right.
not knowing exactly. I'm like, Dad, they ain't even got nothing in America, but I gotta go to, like, it was a great experience to go out there to Montreal to just meet the liaison from the Americas and just feel the surrealness of, like, this is about to be my next step. So I definitely think he was the main person. Like, go ahead and change your life.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm. Powerful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay,
Thank
okay. Now, thank you for sharing a bit about your background and stuff. Now we'll get more into it, more into what you're
you. Yeah.
doing. We'll get more into like how you're working, how you flip the script to just traditional narratives. I've had a chance to coach you, like I mentioned before, um, some at Durham University in England. For our listeners, our international listeners who aren't familiar with Durham University, it's in the northeast of England, which is where I've been situated for quite some time now, where I'm doing the podcast, right? So few people get the opportunity to continue playing basketball after their undergraduate degree, right? And even less, more so just playing overseas in general, right? So, and in terms of what you're doing, I would say we can talk about your dissertation a bit, but I would just say like a lot of things link with what you're doing now, right? If you maybe you co-sign that, but let's attempt to flip this the postgraduate script, but then also this script of entrepreneurship, right? Because that's pretty much what you're trying to get into, right? Because I would say your training, what you've done basketball training, and what you're doing now with your brand, um, they're interconnected in a way, right? It's still entrepreneurship in a way. So I'm allow you to explain it to our Vibe audience. So, but first, what are some assumptions in the work that you do? Like some traditional narratives that like create certain prejudices and stereotypes about certain types of people.
Um, I think I think a lot of people, especially in the African American community, we uh, we choose entrepreneurship, and a lot of people are like, okay, they just don't want a job, or they don't like to work, or they're lazy. And I think for me, I can't speak for everybody. I just know that yeah, I could be very good asset to a business or in a company, but I also have my own journey and dreams of ownership. I think that's the biggest thing that the African American community lacks and needs to continue to grow in. Whether if you do have your 9 to 5, but also are you taking a part in owning, whether it's your company or being able to understand financials and understand why people buy stocks, or just in the holistically, the idea of ownership is so big for me. And I think now this narrative of, I think a stat came out that, many Black Americans are unemployed right now. And, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think many Black Americans are, expressing, some of the things that they're trying to do to help us. It's more or less
Mm-hmm.
the narrative of what we don't have and what we can't achieve. And I definitely want to be a part of that narrative of switching, flipping the script of, we have asked for handouts, but we also are trying to work in the back end to create a community and a space for our own community that can, be back behind and see us flourish. And whether it's just from a, connections perspective of saying, okay, I see what you got going on, and I hope the best for you, or just being to say, how, can I be a part of this, and how can I help you grow? So that's big for me. That's big for my brand. Is just self desire. Looking for a space for you to grow, and having a brand that backs you is what Hungry is really all about.
Yeah, right. I hear that. And like when you mentioned about before, I'm trying to think real quick, but in terms of what you just said, there is this narrative too. Now that I think about it, in terms of like uh, just this, it's a negative in terms of like how we hate on each other, right? But I don't know if this is in because I'm in certain spaces, but like, I feel like there's so many of us who are actively trying to support each other,
Yeah,
right? I don't know
right.
if you want to speak on that a bit, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think we're good at it. I think Black people are very good at, communicating in ways that other cultures can't. I think we create
Yeah,
words, we create conversations that some people would be like, "What the heck are these people talking about?"
they're
And I
appropriated.
think, yeah, right,
There you go.
for sure. But I think we just some people may hate for the reasons of just conversation. And we
Mm,
are meticulous. sad to say, but we are a very judgmental culture that, even though we're not doing well, we will make sure if you're not doing well either, we'll let you know. And I just think it needs to just morph a little bit into just not just saying that, they might not like something, but like give somebody positive feedback of like, okay, you doing this, but you ever thought about this? Or not try to tell them, well, you need to do this because that's what you should do, but be more of a supportive role. And I just think we just come from a lot of negativity and a lot of oppression. So it's easier for us to talk about oppression or talk down on somebody because, I mean, look around us. I mean, that's all we're dealing with from, being discriminated in aspects within outside world, from from other cultures, from even just looking at each other and being like, well, you look like the type to, and it's really just more or less like, just take that person as who they are and be able to just, embrace that and, just expand on that, that's where we need to be more in.
Oh, I hear you. Oh, thank you for that. I think that's an amazing response. And I feel like what you just said is important in terms of like, there's language. I always say language is important, right? It has emotional powers, and how we communicate to each other is really important. That's why I take a strengths-based approach, and it sounds like that's what you do as well in terms of, because we talk about clowning quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like clowning is a form of low key, like what's the word? I used to always say like it's a form of violence, right?
Yeah.
Or or misrecognition or anti-black violence in a way. We kind of we at times we see it as joking, but I mean, there's been clowning. When you're clowning, you probably been around friends where they're clowning each other and then people start fighting, right?
Yeah.
Literally, right? So I think it's important how you mentioned that in terms of how we communicate with others and how we can all just improve a certain way. And there's different ways of communicating that, right? I think that's important. Like I said, in the spaces that I've been in too, I feel like there's so many more people now, at least in my generation, advocating for that, right? And speaking truth to. But then I'm in a certain space, but like you said, for your space as well, it sounds like that's what's happening too, right? Which is good. Now, what about in terms of we'll go deeper in terms of what you're doing, right? And you talked about some of the traditional narratives with that. What about in terms of basketball training? Right? What are some narratives about basketball trainers specifically? Because there's a lot going on now. I mean, there's a lot different from when I was growing up, right? How old are you now?
I'm 28.
Right. Okay. So similar, right? So I know for me specifically too, it's way different now, right?
Yeah.
But how do you feel about the narratives now?
I think basketball is one of the most like has a lot of value when it comes to just the money side too. I think the business of basketball is becoming just as important as the game itself. Especially, I think I seen on Bloomberg or something. It was like they did a evaluation of just the NBA compared to the other sports, and like they're only making a certain amount of money. Not like NFL was probably making the most revenue, but the valuation of partnerships, deals, brand endorsements, uh, basketball is just that sport for it. We globally we know that soccer, football and the other places is one of the global sport that's gravitated around, but basketball has become not only just the game itself, but the entertainment and even on the back end now with training, just a lot of trainers are creating content. They're doing different ways of just trying to, share their side of how they can elevate basketball players. And some people feel like, people are just telling kids just anything, just go out there and not really learn the game of basketball. That's one of the biggest things that we hear about training is that kids nowadays are not playing anymore. They've got all these skills and they have all these, tools in the bag, but they don't know how to run a set or know spacing or know when to, think, okay, I see the back of the guy's head. Let me backdoor and just keep the offense flowing. And I think for my company, I can't, speak for others, but it's two parts. If you can't handle the basketball, if you're not able to make a layup, or if you're not able to pick your spots on the court, how can you know when to do some of these other IQ things? So I'm really big on, I mean, my team is really big on just the fundamentals of the game, understanding, why you would go off of 2 feet to go in for a layup other than going off 1 feet, why it's important to know when to shoot a floater and not just try to go into somebody's body and get in the charge. Just
Right.
teaching those nuances of the game. And then we can, once you get into high school, start doing some role playing. Okay, you're coming off a down screen. Okay, you could either curl it and get a layup, or you're gonna curl and then get to the block and then come out for a three. Like understanding, keeping that spacing, and just knowing how to just see the game, even though you don't have 5 players on the court, knowing your role and just being able to go on different parts of the court and being able to know what to do. I think a lot of times we see people just standing, asking for the ball, or somebody just like not moving because they just see the guy dribbling at the top of the key, other than like, okay, let me set you a flare screen so I could just, maybe get a
Right.
slip. And if I don't get it,
Hmm.
let me fill back out. Like that comes with time. And I think why the European game is so strong is because they play ball a lot. They do play a lot of basketball, but also it's different. I mean, I don't even know how to really put up
Hmm.
my finger on how
Right.
it's much different, but it's just, yeah.
It's just it's I think it's just a bit more ball movement, etc. It's just a little. It's just this. I mean, the team aspect is different, but then again, the rules are different as well. So, it depends on what we're talking about. If we're going a lot, I guess the NBA, like you said, it's becoming more international, right? It's like the second most. Well, I think it's like the second most watched sport after, or most participated sport, at least in England now, and I think internationally, it's one of the top sports after football or soccer, if you want to call it that. So, and it's accessible, right? You see all these different things, but then remember the NBA, we know there's different rules, right? So, and I think, yeah, and obviously we all grew up watching basketball, so we get influenced by what we see. So a bit of that too, right? I couldn't like, who was it? Hezzy guy? Like people do like, the stop and stop, but I never would have imagined doing that because I never saw it. You know what I mean? So kids see that, so that's what they do sometimes, right? So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I think just the aspect of just even like we're in the tech space, so kids are playing 2K. Like they might know their favorite player, but they might catch
right.
a highlight of their player. They're like, for us, we're watching
We
full
got to watch the
games.
game, full
Yeah,
games. Yeah,
we're picking our favorite players because we seen what they did in the third and fourth quarter, or what they
you're
did,
right.
and we're like, that's why he's really good. They're like, have you seen his highlights? Like he dunks on, and it's like it's just a
Yeah.
different age too.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you on that one. Yeah, it's different generations, so we're influenced by that. But yeah, it's a funny thing. But we can go on that about that all day. But
Yeah,
what I want to talk to you about, like your entrepreneurship, and what you got on right now, Hungry.
yeah.
Right. You want to explain a bit about
Hungry
Hungry
Hustle. Yeah,
and how Hungry flips the script?
yeah. I think the brand really just originated from the community I was around. My nephew slash best friend Zion, he just seeing that he just had this hunger, and he said, I just hungry, I'm just in this mode that I just want to like strive and be better. And that's how the name came up. But it manifests into training, and then eventually the clothing brand, with just all my friends. Where I have 2 friends, Caleb and Andre, that are still playing professional basketball overseas, and we are now adults, but we always wanted to continue to have something that we can stay together with, that we can continue to build, for our community and back home. And the idea of that hunger of wanting to do better was one of the biggest things that we recognize, that we're hungry in now different parts of our lives that don't allow us to be together, but to stay that hunger of improving, being able to be a better Samaritan in your community, and just have that support, is what we wanted to continue to build on, and then bring people along. Like if you're hungry for whatever you have going on, we want to be able to say this brand is supporting you, whatever that is, whether it's your life change and you're doing something completely different against the narrative, or you have, your own business and you want to wear something that represents the hunger that you have within your own business, or just everyday things, just being able to be a good father, a good dad, or a good mother, just that hunger to continue to believe in the better of something tomorrow.
Oh, that's amazing. And you mentioned it's with two of your friends.
It's about three of us that's
Three of us.
done it. Yeah,
Well,
so I play like the
I
middle role, but go ahead.
okay. No, I was gonna. No, I was gonna like how like what. How did that transpire? How did you? Were you in a space to do that? Like, what made you just all decide to do that? Because I've never really heard that before in terms of a group of friends. These people that in my circle, I haven't heard of like anybody around me that's done that before.
Yeah, it was just luckily enough COVID. I mean, we all were like back home, and it was just a stage of our lives where we were able to all be together. But we knew this was, I mean, it was a life changing. COVID changed everybody's
Right.
lives, but it affected us in the positive way of realizing that technically we're not even supposed to have this time together. Like I was supposed to be in Charlotte already working in banking space. Caleb and Andre already were supposed to be overseas playing basketball, but with just the travel restrictions, allowed them to stay back. And then Zion was going into his trade within the construction world, and us being able to just have time to kick it with each other, and just not just kick it and just kill time, but actually start brainstorming of ideas of what can happen. So the dynamic of the business is, I play more or less the middle of just, on the foundation, the backbone of the business, just keeping everything fluid, keeping everything, whether it's from the socials or in the back end logistics of the business. And then I have Zion on the clothing side. That's really the creative, the designer, the does all the looks, ideas, comes up with just different perspectives of timelines and ideas of how we want to portray our look. And then Andre and Caleb have been able to, especially when they come home from overseas, be able to be almost full time with just having a strong schedule for our elite training business, utilizing some of the gyms we have and just bringing kids along.
I love to hear that. So we have too. So it's training involved in that as well. Well, okay. And I know we tend to talk about the great things, but in terms of like working as a team, there is conflict, right? How would you could you give us an example or just explain how y'all may um how y'all solution oriented for other people who are entrepreneurs who are working with other people who may have conflict and aren't sure what to do.
Yeah. I think for me, especially being like the head of the snake in many ways for our businesses, is a lot of things that I learned in Durham, just that emotional intelligence of working with
Mm,
others. You mean, like, I understand my hunger in the business, and my hunger is different from my other teammates and what they view of what they, find important. So being able to understand that you only can be your own self within the business, and don't give up because it's gotten harder. Others don't see that vision, but they
right.
still, you have to recognize they may still believe in it, but they might not just work at the same, pace as you. They might not view things as important that you do, or timeline. So for me, being structurally savvy and being able to just keep that in mind and being able to decompress on some of those things. Okay, like, these guys are overseas. Zion, he has two children and he's still working a full-time job. For me, I feel like this business is my baby. So I might, hold it more tightly than, a lot of the things that my teammates are getting pulled into. So being able to just be transparent about, the space of your business. And if you're upset of where you are in your company, start looking at ways to improve it. For me,
Hmm.
I feel like our business is something that's a legacy. So it might not pop immediately. It might not have, the revenue driven, goals that we want year after year. But the idea of that, we're still getting traction. Our clothing brand dropped and we had a great community out, support from, a lot of people from Columbus. And then just continuing to just grow that and not be upset that it's not global yet, because that's my end goal, is to be able to be hungry in England to hungry in Cali, and be able to go anywhere and be recognized for not just the brand, but just the message that we intend to, put out.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. That makes me think of like that's that traditional narrative, right? In terms of like you said, people expect an instant instant growth or instant success, or what
Yeah.
success looks different within different companies, doesn't it? Like, or how you want to view it, right? I saw a funny post that makes me think of something like, how like a lot of like now there's like a lot of memes or a lot of people, like say women in particular, talking about OnlyFans because they make so much money.
Yeah.
But then it's like that's that narrative. Like it was like a woman who posted something. I'm sorry, I'm talking about women experience, but this is something I've been seeing. Right? It was a photo. She took a photo of herself, and she said, I should start joining OnlyFans, basically. Because I think she was working at McDonald's or something. And then when you realize that like OnlyFans, literally the average income is like, I think it's like $100 a month, something like, I forgot. Don't quote me on that, but it's really low,
Yeah.
right? But it's just in terms of like this idea that how we view success, how success is shown to us. It's like you have to be extremely financially stable. You have to be a millionaire. You have to be able to drive this and look this way. But in reality, for majority of people, it looks way different,
Yeah.
right? How do you feel about that?
I think I credit England for that. I mean, I was one of those people that was like, shoot, I need 106,000 next year. Like, why don't I not, like, that's where I should be. Like, those are where my peers are. And that's how I'm viewing what success is supposed to look like. Okay. And then after a couple years, I should be making 135. Like, that's how the spaces that I was in, of the conversations that I was a part of. And then going to, back to school at uni, and just being around, people like yourself who have created a journey for yourself that is outside of the norm, being able to come into a location and find yourself within it. I mean, dude, you got a doctorate from Durham. Like, that's major, and that's something that's not seen often. So be able to be in your presence and seeing what you were able to do, and being able to be around others that speak about just what they view as important for others. I mean, Durham talks about sustainability a lot, being able to be sustainable within the environment, with whether it's sustainable within yourself. I think seeing those things allowed me to recognize that my success was within me. It's what I feel that I'm portraying to in the likeness of God. The what I can do to move the pendulum of people closer to my faith. And that's a different narrative from working in corporate. It's more or less like, what's your 5-year goal? What's your 10-year goal? How can you get there? Who can you navigate against? And it's like, I want to navigate, but also actually enjoy what life has to offer, being able to be satisfied with, okay, you're not making 135,000. You might now be making 50, 60,000, but then you have the time to be able to go and be a part of a community that, you can resonate with. You can now be able to talk to people about things that you enjoy talking about, better than trying to keep a job. And, I heard the word tree hug within corporate now, that, you stay in a job because they have so many different benefits, whether it's money, whether it's, being able to have a great professional career, even though you're miserable every day. And I mean, I understand. I think there's millions of people that's tree hugging right now, just because now they got children, they have, other responsibilities. And I was blessed enough to do it before I had all these responsibilities of making sure I can make, the right decision for my family. And, I think that's the reason why I'm in this position now. And I feel like my life's changed.
Man, you said something. Yeah, that was you dropped some dime. You said, "Oh, it was about navigating and enjoying."
Yeah.
What you're doing, right? And yeah, it made me think too in terms of like, yeah, like when I was growing up, it was about Division 1. Like, you got to make Division 1. You got to play Division 1, and you got to have a full scholarship. Those types of things. Like, and you don't. I mean, you don't. It didn't have to be that way. I was fortunate enough to play somewhere. I played JUCO for 2 years, and then I played Division 1 for 2 years. But like, it doesn't have to be that narrative, right? It's about navigating and enjoying that experience, right?
Right.
And now that we're talking about that, like our experiences and what we enjoy and how we're navigating that, right? How if you could reflect, we're on the computer. This is the last part of the show, right? So I have just two more questions for you. If you could reflect on your journey thus far, what do you know now that you wish you knew before?
Um, as I reflect on my journey now, and what I wish I knew before, um, I think peace of mind is is major. I think when I look back, um, I was so caught up of others' perception, even though if they're not even saying it, being in spaces of whether it's my peers are doing very well or being able to know if I have this type of trajectory of what my life could be and how people will view me, and being able to just be happy with being you. you know
Hmm.
um I think today's age is definitely trying to express that more, but I think we still need a lot going on, because I think, yeah, you can express yourself, but there's still traditional things that you need to keep in mind. There's a lot of things that within your own self that you cannot fall into. I think the world is a worldly world. You can be pulled and seen nowadays. You can see everything at the click of a button, click of your thumb, and now you can fall into what you think is supposed to be going on, or how you are supposed to be. But to be able to have a strong base, strong foundation, strong love of yourself is one thing that I wish I could have told my younger self. Like, man, just love you being different. Love that.
Hmm.
Don't feel like you got to fight to others to, you know, share who you are, share and be unapologetic about it. But continue to have a foundation of faith and within your own self. Like, it's major.
Mm, thank you. I mean, that's wisdom for you right there. You just gave me a title right there. Navigate and enjoy our foundation. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming, and I know we talked a bit about your background. Talked about you know what you've experienced, like how you navigate, why you went to Durham, how you navigated Durham, what some traditional narratives are in terms of being a trainer, in terms of entrepreneurship, how you flip that. And I'd say one of the things that kind of I got out of that in terms of like just enjoying what you do, not rushing, going at your own pace, and
Hmm.
then also doing it collectively with other people that you love and care about. That's amazing, right? That's an amazing story. And and then obviously there was ups and downs, or left to right, or however you want to describe those things. It This leads me to my last question in terms of like how you've navigated sport and how that's been in your life. But is ball life?
When I think ball is life, I think of like Kobe, think of LeBron, I think of Brad, I think of Brad, I think of you know some of the people that I have actually been able to witness, you know, not only just work on their craft, but constantly think about their craft. I think basketball has been a great tool of mine, and I think I have sharpened it in ways that have made me very successful within basketball. I think to say it's life, it's more or less who a part of me. It's not more life my life, but it's more just something that is within me. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever I could use that tool to bring somebody along, I'm gonna use it. It's basketball has been an extreme tool for me, but to say it's life, I don't think it's life. It's just part of me.
Okay, basketball's a part of you. Amazing. All right. How you feeling now? Thank you for coming. How you feeling?
Oh man, I think this is a great experience, man.
Yeah.
I've been chopping at the bit to get over here with you, and
Yeah, for sure. We talked about it.
yeah, it's an extreme honor, especially just knowing your background and what you want to produce and put into the world is moving. And to be able to be, an active listener of the people that you bring on and what they have to, share and enlighten, it's admirable, and I really do appreciate being on here.
Oh man, no worries. I appreciate your love and kindness, right? And I appreciate you being on here and sharing with us because I mean you're an amazing person. Keep doing what you do, but also what are some social media handles or platforms that people can follow you on?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram at the real edubs. That's the real EDUBBS dubs. You also can find me on LinkedIn, Ennis Thomas. I don't really use any other platforms, but I'm always just a phone call away. So if you ever want to reach out to me, you can get my email, ennthomas100 at gmail. But I'm very personable, and I'm always interested in connecting.
Smooth. All right. Appreciate you coming on, man. Appreciate you coming on. If you have a blessed day. And yeah, I'm looking forward to people listening to this episode for sure.
Absolutely. Cheers, my brother.
All right.